everybody's talking about this. This seems to be the question that won't go away in terms of, is Sean Strickland and Adesanya going to rematch? That question was asked at the post-fight press conference, and I thought my ears heard yes. I thought, got a dog, my buddy Joel's got a dog, we met up on Sunday, and we were running the dogs, and we were throwing the ball, and we were tossing the frisbee, and we were talking about the commitment that was made to the rematch. It's what I thought I heard. It's what Joel thought he heard. I mean, I only bring that to you because Dana White Contender Series comes, and a reporter brings it up, and Dana clarifies and says, no, that wasn't said. There might be a rematch. There might not be a rematch, but there is not a commitment to a rematch. Okay, I heard it wrong. But if you're at middleweight, what do you do? From every single perspective, what is it you're going to do? Now, you must understand, okay, before you answer the question, you must understand, you can't name the match. Doesn't matter if that match is called Doesn't matter where that match is coming from. Doesn't matter if Kamaru Usman himself moves up into the division or Belal Muhammad, that's got legitimate heat with Sean Strickland, comes out of nowhere and says, you said I was the number one contender. I'm tired of waiting for Colby and Leon, right? Like, those are compelling stories. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't do any of them until October 23rd. Why? Because you have a match on October 22nd. And if you state what a rematch is prior to Chimaev and Paulo Costa fighting, you have no ability. You're taking leverage away from yourself. Even if you haven't said Paulo Costa versus Chimaev is for number one contendership, even if you haven't said it, you make the rematch, you lose the ability to say it. Do you guys understand this concept? In case you're wondering, why the re-tee, right? The tee is where you got a plant in the audience and you tell them to ask you a question. If you're wondering why the re-tee came up to clarify a rematch is not set, because it would take away your ability to promote a fight that's very important. And we might not be feeling it, guys. I think we want to see it, and I think we're going to have some fun, and I think we're looking forward to it, but I don't think you could go any further as a North American fan for Paulo Costa versus Chimaev. And other parts of the world, this is massive. It is something that you're not able to relate to. And there's a strong belief that that's your number one contenders match. There's even been a statement made, whoever Chimaev's next opponent is, if they win, Chimaev, as long as he dropped 170 and gets a win here at 85, Chimaev will fight for the belt. I understand those things, but Paulo Costa was also pulled off of the Salt Lake card after training camp was done. The history of the UFC, I can't tell you a time that that's happened. If it's happened, I couldn't produce the time for you. So I believe to sweeten the pot, you would have had to tell Paulo Costa the same thing. So now you got two guys that are getting ready to fight. They're getting ready to go into a media tour. They're training to the highest of levels. If they come out and they find out there's a rematch at their very weight class for the prize that they think beating this man gets me, it's a problem. So do you understand why the necessity for the re-tee? Do you understand why there was a plant and that question even came up? Do you understand now? Okay. So now that you've got just a sprinkle of smarts to the game, and I ask you what you're going to do at middleweight, it wouldn't matter who you are, if you are promoter or fighter, what do you do? Because one thing that Adesanya has done better than anybody is he has told us who's next for him. Israel Adesanya has never fought an opponent since being champion that he didn't pick, that he didn't identify. Before the bout agreements came, before the handshakes were done, before the other team was called and everybody sat down and did whatever it is that they do, Adesanya let us know who it was going to be. That includes Sean Strickland. As a matter of fact, they tried to get in the way of the Sean Strickland fight 6 weeks ago, and it was Adesanya who got on the phone from Australia and put the fight back together. A lot of you know that, but I'm reminding this to a lot of you as well, because Adesanya hasn't asked for much, but he has made it clear that he wants parity. He has beat the division, and he has lapped the division, and he's getting ready to go ahead and have to do it a third time. You're talking about what George St. Pierre had to do. You're talking about what Kamaru Usman had to do. You're talking about what nobody else has ever been even willing to do. I mean, this is very untouched waters that Izzy is in. But Izzy does want parity nonetheless. So who out there has he not fought? Well, he hasn't fought Chimaev. by example, top guy, and he hasn't fought Duplessis, for example. So if you've got this Chimaev-Paulo Costa fight coming up, and Sean and Chimaev are buddies. Sean doesn't have a lot of them, but he's buddies with Chimaev. They used to train together all the time. I mean, it makes for a little bit of an awkwardness for a fight. So what? There's only so many gyms. We can rinse our hand and be done with it. But I'm just sharing with you, if you're in the spot of Sean, you got one job: to make the most money with the easiest opponent. So Sean does have hand here to weigh in. He can continue with the, oh, I don't care, I'll fight absolutely any of them. He can. Or he can also copy the guy that he just took his belt and start to lean in one direction. If he stays completely silent, they are going to make that match a number one contenders match. The entire point of clarifying that Izzy and Sean are not guaranteed a rematch is to preserve the right to promote and elevate Paulo Costa versus Chimaev. Whether that happens or not, you've preserved the right. You haven't taken it away from yourself. You got to understand that concept. You got to understand that perfectly clear, because if you're in Sean's spot and you think Duplessis is the fight, you can go after Duplessis right now. You've got until October 22nd. And going after Duplessis serves a lot of purpose, which is, it doesn't matter if you win or Duplessis wins, it's still parity for Adesanya, at least when you're matched with the fact that they're considered rematching him anyway. But there's not a lot of a different direction that you could go. You couldn't say the same thing for Paulo Costa. You couldn't say it for Marvin Vettori. You couldn't say it for Brunson. You couldn't say it for Jared Cannonier. The one place that you can go where the outcome still preserves the idea of parity for your top draw, who is Adesanya, who we all know is going to get another title shot and should, that would be a very meaningful call-out. That would make a lot of sense. It's the number one thing Duplessis has in his favor right now. Duplessis does not have a lot in his favor. It's going to be very tough for Duplessis to go in with Sean Strickland. Just the history of the organization says, I can't put you in with a guy so that you can take what he's got when he went and took it from a guy that you weren't willing to go and take it from. It's just one of those deals. But he's got parity on his side. And that is something that people are looking for, including myself, including Adesanya. So you got to make these moves now. I'm just sharing with you what's happening and why it's happening. Why do we have the retee? Why do we have the clarity? It's extremely important that we don't have a title fight yet for Sean, or it would reduce what in the hell Paulo Costa and Chimaev are even fighting for.